Yes, ma'am. Make it. Yes. Now it's visible, ma'am. Yeah. Ma'am, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, ma'am. Unmute. No, no. Screen is okay, ma'am. You just unmute yourself. You are muted. Ma'am, go to the PPT again and you just unmute yourself. You are not audible. Your voice is not coming. Yes. Ma'am, unmute yourself.
Is it okay now?
Yes, yes. Go to the PPT, ma'am. Go to the PPT. Yes, ma'am. Make it full screen. Yes. Now we can continue. Yes.
Okay. So before we begin, sir has already introduced myself, so I can speak more. Before begin into the getting into the topic, so let's appreciate the organ which that we judge every day, that we judge in every single morning. Like we saw this organ to the wall 24 into 7. Yes, that is skin. And skin, mostly what happens, everybody's wish is to get a very spotless skin, very glowing skin. So whatever happened inside in the body, that hardly matters to anybody, but having a spotless skin, having a glowing skin, having a charming skin, that everybody's wish. So skin is not a part of health, it's a part of your self confidence, it's a part of your self esteem, it's a part of your social interaction, a part of your mental well being, and what not. So that's why everybody puts the skin as a most important organ. Okay. So that's why the in dermatology, as we deal with skin, so dermatology is an important part of medicine. So everybody wants to get into dermatology by any way. So what happens in dermatology? We are the dermatologist. We have a very sharp eye. Means we have very, like you can tell that eagle eye. So whatever we see, so we have to diagnose basing on what we are seeing. So most of the skin diseases are visual. So mostly we rely on what we are seeing. We don't have lots of investigations in dermatology. So to a 1 year old child, like you teach them, this is a cup, this is a kitten. So we are being taught like this from our resident days. Like we have to make our eyes so sharp that even if we look into a skin disease, we can diagnose the disease. So mostly we rely on whatever we see on the skin surface. So the big mistake is there is a small mistake can lead to a great change. Like if we diagnose a benign disorder, we diagnose a malignant disorder into a benign disorder, that's a big problem. So a small negligence can lead to a big problem. So that's the big challenge in dermatology. So, among lots of challenges that we have in dermatology, so few are listed few of them are they, like most of the diseases they look alike. Like a very small difference can change the diagnosis of the disease. Like variation in skin color, there are various skin colors are there. Like our skin color is somehow between the Caucasians and African American. So the skin color is so wide different that I'll discuss in for coming slides. The skin color also put a very big challenge for us to diagnose a particular disease. And no need to mention, there is always a shortage of skilled dermatologists, and always there is high patient load, And also, as we rely on the things we see, so it's a very subjective thing. That is always a subjective judgment. Like, what is the diagnosis? What I am seeing, my colleague is not able to see. What I am not seeing, my colleague is able to see. So that is always a difference. What my diagnosis, that is not my colleague's diagnosis. So always there is inter-observer variation exist. And along with that, that add-on is that all our diseases are long-term diseases. Like, patients will be coming for years, for months. It's like every visit we have to see so many things. I'll be discussing later. Then again, what happens that all the diseases here, that many cases the cancer detection, the skin cancer detection, that takes long time. So with all the big challenges in mind, we always in search of something, like somebody will help us to get a answer. Is some machine is going to help us? Like, with all the challenges in our mind, then AI enter into the market. So AI enter into the field. Like, my knowledge here, like, you people are so much experienced in AI, but my knowledge is just, you can tell, just a spoonful knowledge I have from the ocean of knowledge of artificial intelligence that you people have. So what I can tell, like, here I must tell that I am not a very technologically advanced people, but I always open to learn new things. I always open to collaborate with new people to learn new things. So this is my attempt to show you how artificial intelligence is entered into the dermatology, and what is being done till now, and what are the further researches we can carry forward. So just continue with this. What I understand artificial intelligence, the capacity given by a human to machines to memorize and learn from experience, to think, create, speak, to judge and make decision. So whatever my definition may be different from yours, here I must tell again and again that I am not so technologically advanced as you people. Then all the things comes like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, that all these things I must not explain here in this platform, because you people are too higher, too far, means advanced than me. So when AI entered into the healthcare, so now AI has taken lots of like places in healthcare system. Like, AI is doing something in administration, AI is helping us in telemedicine, AI is helping in making a diagnosis. That is robotic surgery going on various fields, and AI is helping those. AI is like machines, they monitor the patients with vitals like blood pressure, temperature, and respiratory rate, pulse rate, everything. And there are like they are helping also nurses to get all the updates. And AI is helping in research material, AI is helping in chronic care management, so lots of things. So what we got from AI till now in dermatology, that's a matter. So when AI came, so most of the people, they thought that dermatology is best ideal for artificial intelligence, and AI will take over dermatology. Because, like, in dermatology is a branch where the mostly we have clinical photos, we have dermoscopy, we have histopathology, and all these are things like picture oriented. You take a pic and you diagnose from the picture. Okay, so we have vast database of clinical pictures. So like we people are like diagnosing from a lesion, we people are diagnosing from a clinical picture. So the machine will come, the machine will analyze the picture, and machine will diagnose the thing. So it was the thought before. And like dermatology, we don't have lots of investigations. Like, we don't advise the patient to go for lots of blood investigation, we don't advise the people to go for like you go for such like fluid examination, all the things like other people they do. So that's why the many people thought that AI is taking over the dermatology. So then the many challenges that I told that came into uh, feature, like skin diseases look alike. Like I told that you just look the first two picture. So here that you are seeing something nodule is present over the skin surface, but the two lesions are look very alike, but their diagnosis is different. As the diagnosis is different, their treatment is different, and their drugs are different, and their response is different. Everything is different. Like you see just two clinical pictures. The first one is also scabies. The second one is also scabies. Like how a person who is not trained about this, how the person is going to diagnose the condition. If the diagnosis is not proper, then obviously the treatment is also not proper, then the response is not good, everything. So everything depends on the clinical picture, so how we see the lesion. So like every skin disease, they have some overlapping pictures. Like to me this is the diagnosis, and to my colleague this is not the diagnosis, this is another diagnosis. So again the treatment is different. So this is the more confusion in cases of skin diseases. And here I must give importance that the diagnosis of skin diseases mainly depends upon the experience of the clinician. So what I am able to diagnose a condition, like what my experience till now, I am having a experience of 10 to 12 years. So what I can diagnose right this condition, my resident may not be do, my postgraduate student they may not be do. So because they lack the experience. And like the big challenge come when there is the condition like benign and malignant condition that comes to play. So there the experience of the person that matters the most. So with the challenge, so we then AI came. Then it's like many people they developed many apps. Like you put the picture in the app, then the app will suggest some diagnosis. So with this, like many apps like Skin Vision, Derma Aid, Skin 10, Molescope, all these apps develop. But these apps, I must tell that these apps are in very primitive stage. Like their specificity and sensitivity is very low. Like if you are putting a benign lesion, sometimes the app will show that this is a malignant lesion, and you have to go with the malignant treatment protocol. So that is like a very meshy condition. So sometimes also that the app unable to recognize a malignant condition, which is a malignant condition, but the app is unable to recognize. So the patient suffers from the disease. So these apps are very primitive condition. This needs more research, and these apps need to be like new apps to be developed. Okay, then also many apps that develop that they try to take the dermoscopy picture of the lesion, and they try to give a diagnosis, try to give a particular exclude some diseases. And with these like DB Dermo, Mole Analyzer Export, these systems, these apps developed. But again, these are not much useful. So till now, the most important that is innovation done till now, that is Dorma sensor. Dorma sensor that is mainly developed in foreign countries, and that is USA, that is FDA approved. So mainly to detect the skin cancer. So it can detect different forms also, like melanoma, basal cell carcinoma, and squamous cell carcinoma. So it's mainly used in the Western world. It's yet to come to India. So whatever till now, whatever the research has been done in the field of AI, so mainly focusing on malignancy, mainly focusing on the malignant conditions of the skin, and very less research has been done in inflammatory condition, infectious conditions, and all other like autoimmune conditions. As the Western world, they are more prone to get the skin malignancy, so they are working in that field only. So but in India, the malignancy, the cutaneous malignancy like skin malignancy, we have very less chances of getting the skin malignancy as compared to the Western world. So here the most of the research they are not entered into the infectious field, not entered into the inflammatory dermatology, not entered into autoimmune dermatology. So these fields are quite open now. So we can carry over the research here. So the challenge that we have very scarcity of skilled dermatologists, like scarcity of skilled personnel like dermatologists, and it is very surprised. You'll be surprised to know that India has only like less than one dermatology per 1 lakh population. So here I must say that 2-3 years back, I used to go to a outreach clinic that is around 100 to 150 kilometer away from Bhubaneswar, and there means to get a appointment for my skin consultation, people used to wait 7 to 8 days. Like their waiting period was 7 to 8 days. Now the condition is same. So you just see high means the patient load is so high and the waiting period is so long. Like you wait to get a dermatology consultation, you wait 7 days for this. So like the system is something like we need more dermatologists to just encounter this condition. So we have teledermatology now. Like most of the people, they come up with idea that video consultation and some apps are there, like you put a picture and the app will give it just some differential diagnosis or some diagnosis, and you take medicine according to that. But also I must tell that these are also not well developed. This people should not use these apps to get the treatment. It can be used as a like primary healthcare center where MBBS doctor is sitting, so he or she can just try it. Like this disease is not so emergent condition, so you can wait for some time to get a dermatology consultation. Or if this disease is very emergency condition, you go to a dermatologist immediately. And it's not like that the app is taking the place of the dermatology to get a treatment option from the nearby center. So then comes our major problem, like chronic disease management. So here in dermatology, we have most of the diseases like eczema, acne, vitiligo, which are very lifelong. Like the disease the disease continue for months or years along. Like patient have to visit dermatology. OPD patient has to visit a dermatologist in every 6 months, in every one like 3 months, and the treatment is going to continue for years along. So what happens in every visit that we have to find out what is the response of the treatment. Like we are giving a drug, and how the drug is behaving in the patient's body, and how the disease is progressing, and how the disease is responding. So everything in every case we have to need to follow up the patient. We have to find out the disease condition. So every case that is follow up is very difficult. Like so you just think in a busy OPD you are sitting, but and another 50-60 patients are waiting outside, and you have one vitiligo patient here, and you are just seeing what was the previous lesion, what the treatment going on. It will take around half an hour for a patient, so it's very cumbersome. So in that case we need like some machine would be there that will compare the image over time, that will take you immediately whether the disease is progressing or the disease is like responding very good to the treatment. So everything, and the machine will just personalize the treatment schedule for the patient. So all these things need to be done. Till now we don't have any, like we don't have any app, or we don't have any like application we can do all those things. Okay. Then another thing is like severity assessment. Like the severity assessment is very subjective. It varies from one dermatologist to another person. Like suppose a psoriasis patient is coming to me. So while just seeing a psoriasis patient, I have to calculate the PASI. PASI means psoriasis area severity index. For that, I have to take the erythema, like redness. I have to take the scaling. I have to take the area of involvement. Then I have to add all those. Then I have to multiply with some fractions. Then I have to take. I have to see what area of means how what are the body parts that is getting affected. So everything then I have to calculate, then I have to find out a particular score. So just you think, is it possible for a BGOPD without taking help of a resident? And I am sitting and 50 patients are waiting outside. So how difficult it is. It's not for psoriasis. Suppose yes, atopic dermatitis patient comes. So we have a scoring system like SCORAD. Okay, so I have to assess the severity. I have to calculate the SCORAD, and I have to put the value. Then when the patient comes next, then I have to again calculate the SCORAD. Then I have to put the value. Then I have to compare with the previous value. Okay, so it takes so long time, and it's also very fatigue also. Like in a BGOPD, just with calculation, with all the things. So it's like it's a very hectic job. So and also it's a very subjective also. Like to me, the PASI score is something different, and to my colleague, it's also something different, because the amount of erythema, my I can see the amount of erythema, his or her I can't see. So the amount of scaling, what I can appreciate, the amount of scaling that he or she can't appreciate. So it's totally different. It's like I'm seeing something different and he's seeing something different. So but the patient is same. So it's like so we thought that something more machine must be there, or app must be there, so that can calculate the PASI score, that can calculate the NAPSI. NAPSI means nail area psoriasis severity index, that can calculate the score. And so that will give us a data that this is the score today visit, and the next visit when the patient will come, then again we'll calculate the score. Okay, then again we'll compare. So then then comes the dermatology score. So it's a app developed. So this app mainly we used for calculation of PASI score and score calculation. But what the app does only calculation. The app doesn't do anything like so for the erythema you have to see only, the redness you have to see only, the scaling you have to see only, the area of involvement you have to see only. So you put the value. What the app will do is the app will just calculate, just multiply, just multiplication and addition, everything that will do. So that's just a simple calculator what the app will do. So that's why this app is not doing all the that is our requirement for score calculation. So we have many apps like MD app, we have PASI calculator, we have DL-CoI calculator, we have Derma score. So with time, many people has developed all these apps, but I don't think that all these apps I am showing here, they are means working completely to help a dermatologist. What they are doing, they are just calculating the value and putting the value. We don't have something like auto analyzer, like I put the scanner to the lesion, and the scanner will calculate the PASI, the scanner will calculate the MASI, and the scanner will calculate the score and everything. Okay, so it's not like that. It's all about the apps we have right now. So what I told, that still we lack like automated lesion segmentation. Like I told that I just put a scanner and the scan will calculate. So that is not there. So automatic measurement of size, color, and texture of the lesion, that is not there. Then consistency severity scoring is also not there. That the machine that calculates the score today, that may not be same the way same 2 months later. So that consistency is also lacking. So nowadays, the cosmetic dermatology, that is the most evolving part of dermatology. So here, mostly the people, they look very charming, so very like they want to be very glowing, they want to be spotless. Okay, so their cosmetic dermatology comes. In cosmetic dermatology, we have like systems like analyzer that can analyze acne, that can analyze the wrinkles, and they can that can tell that your skin tone is something like this. So so you have to do all these procedures, like your wrinkle is increasing, so you take a buttocks, your skin acne is like you have more number of nodules, so you have to go for a treatment. So all these things, so quite number of research have been being directed to cosmetic dermatology nowadays. So here we have most used like VCR skin analysis system. Here it like uses the red areas like brown spots, and you have it can tell about your texture, you can tell about your wrinkles, like all those things. Then one another is like California based proven beauty care. So that contains like information about 20,000 ingredients, like 4,000 scientific paper, journal contribution to skin and skincare ingredients. So all these things are there. Nowadays lasers, like most of the previously the lasers which was used to come, so that they're like we have to set like settings for doing any procedures. Now the lasers are coming with like artificial intelligence guided fractional laser system. They automatically identify fine lines, wrinkles and scar, and they automatically just give a you have to do the procedure with this intensity. Like that also we have NDX with AI, with automatically set the setting for hair removal and everything. Then trichology is another branch that of dermatology that deals with mainly hair. So for trichology, we usually use dermoscopy. So we call it as trichoscopy. There we see like every time the patient comes, so we'll give the treatment, then we'll calculate the how many hairs are there in a particular field, how many vellus hairs are there, how many terminal hairs are there, what is the texture of the scalp skin there, what is the if there is any scaling or not, everything. So we then when the next patient comes, then we'll again see all the features taking into a trichoscope. So till now we don't have any like system like the trichoscopes which can give a particular like a clear cut information that this much of venous hair you have, this much of terminal hair you have, this much of scaling you have, and that will automatically capture the images, that will automatically save the images, that will automatically compare the previous images of the patient. We don't have such a system till now. So then, AI in robotics, like the most common procedure we usually do in our OPD is skin biopsy. For that, we have to take a punch and we have to do biopsy. But now robotic devices have come; they will take the biopsy tissue automatically. Also, they have some like automated laser hair removal machines. Also, they came, and also like in hair restoration surgery there are many artificial intelligence devices they are come, but we hardly use them here. Then another again a part of dermatology is dermatopathology. Like when we confirm, like we stamp a disease as psoriasis, we stamp a disease as pemphigus, we stamp a disease as bullous pemphigus, we stamp a disease as like malignant melanoma. So for this we have to go for pathology, that dermatopathology, we have to go for a histopathology study. But just think like the pathology is sitting in a lab and she's just checking the slides, hundreds of slides in a day, and it's so fatigued. Like it's also like the person is like feels so so fatigue also, like just checking 100 of slides and not and dealing with all the pattern and coming into a diagnosis is very difficult. So like we have dermatopathology apps now, like Visual DX. Visual DX is just helping us to find out the clinical pattern, like for a particular disease, but it not suggesting any diagnosis for a disease. It's not correlating with the other differential diagnosis. Like that also we have Mind Derm Path. The app is also, I can tell that this is also in a very primitive state, like lots of research need to be done. This is a very open field now to work with. So what we have done till now, that we are thinking that AI can do something for us, but there is that AI came with many limitations. Like here, what limitations in dermatology we got, that it requires a very high quality, diverse database, and as like it's not like other internal organs. Like skin is not like other internal organs. Skin is something different. We have different skin color. So what skin color I am having, that a Caucasian is not having. So the skin, according to the skin color, the morphology also different. So that that AI can't catch that. Okay, so also AI can't assess the tactile features, like AI can't feel the skin. Okay, so AI can't do the holistic patient understanding. And the biggest threat is data privacy. And what can happen over years, that over reliance on AI, that may happen. So there is also ethical challenge, like something that if AI does some error, who will be responsible for that? And we need some standard approvals for AI, and also like data privacy and consent, everything that's a problem. And for this we need more legal and regulatory issues. So being a dermatologist, so my wish list is like I wish like AI should be used as a screening tool. So whatever the innovations are we are going to do, that should be act as a screening tool. It should not replace the expertise of a dermatologist. It should give differential diagnosis. It should suggest some advice to the patient, but it should not give treatment to the patient. So we need a multimodal artificial intelligence for holistic patient assessment. So, and in dermatology, what we need, a large database, the database of clinical pictures, the database of dermoscopic pictures, the database of histopathology picture, and the large database, and the AI can correlate with the clinical picture, with the dermoscopy picture, with the histopathology picture of a similar same disease. Okay, and different pattern images of the same clinical. Like previously I saw two images of scabies. One is also very mild scabies, one is very severe scabies. So the machine should recognize the different clinical pattern of the same clinical disease, then like scanner or something like that, to differentiate between different lesion morphology. Like I am seeing a patient, the it's not always necessary the patient will have a single lesion of single skin disorder. The patient may have multiple skin disorder, but our eye may miss some other diseases when we are focusing on a particular disease. So when AI may help in that field. So we need a something like scanner or a machine, something that when the machine will see, the machine won't see a single lesion in a person, that can suggest multiple different lesions of present in a particular person. Okay, so again, like I already told that the AI can assess simultaneous analysis of clinical picture, dermoscopic picture, and histopathology picture for better diagnosis. Like if I am seeing a patient of psoriasis, so AI can recognize the can assess the clinical picture of psoriasis. AI can access the clinical picture of dermoscopy. I can access the histopathology picture of dermoscopy. So combining all these, the AI will suggest a particular differential diagnosis. And like dermoscopic picture analyzer, like I told that we don't have anything till now that analyze the dermoscopic picture in a better way. So analyze the different clinical pattern we'll see in dermoscopic images. The similar thing which also needed in case of histopathology pattern recognition. Like whatever we are seeing a neutrophil. So the neutrophil I am seeing, that may not be the same neutrophil that my colleague will see. Okay, so there are different clinical pattern of histopathology. The machine should learn the different pattern. Okay, then and this is the need of the hour, that is automated scorer calculation or PASI calculation from the sequential images. Like I just put a scanner like Google scanner, like something like that on the lesion, and the machine can calculate. So this is machine will know the we calculate the redness, calculate the scaling, everything, and the machine will give us the PASI score and scorer score. So that is the need of the hour. So that need to be, the research need to be done. So like we also need, like it's in my wish list, like a wearable device. Like we are just wearing a smartwatch, then and smartwatch is showing us that 1000 steps you have gone today, also once or 10,000 steps you have done today. So like a device is something, we need a device that to be put on your skin, and the device will tell us like your skin is drying, so you are losing lots of moisture from your skin, you just put on some moisturizer on your body, so that will give you an alarm to put some moisturizer on your body. Okay, so and you are moving outside, the device will calculate the amount of UV rays that your body is absorbing, and the device will give you a data that give you an alarm that you have absorbed so much UV exposure now, so you have to go and put a moisturizer. So it's time to put a sunscreen on your body. So you have absorbed so much UV exposure, so you just apply your sunscreen, everything. So we need a device, so this can be done. So, and the AI, artificial intelligence, only specific for medicine. When I am preparing this presentation, I just searched the AI specific for medicine, and it showed open evidence. But when I open the open evidence, it's not working in India. So we are like barely we need AI only specific for medicine. So and expanding application beyond skin cancer, like Western world, they are more conscious about the skin cancer, so they are more into the research of skin cancer. But in our scenario, we the infectious diseases are more, the inflammatory diseases are more, so our research should be into this field. And the everyday hectic job, we need something like clinical documentation, automation from dictation. If something I am telling and that is automatically dictates, that is also a requirement. And AI will find its role in research and development. So all these are my wish list. So all these fields are open for research, so anybody here interested can collaborate with us, so we can done something to carry over the research. So all these fields are open, and it's are quite untouched also. So I am open here. So here is my contact number and mail ID, so anybody interested can contact me. Okay, thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And I must say that I'm thankful to Dr. Nihar Boi, Dr. Jivan Jyoti Misra, and Dr. Sibram Panda for helping me in preparing this slide. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So definitely your wish list is very, lot of points are there. So we can engage many of our students, okay, or participants, you can say, in this forum, or you can say in research activities. So now it's open to all. If anybody having any questions, then you can. Then later we'll discuss about what are the problem statement ma'am has told, what are the things we can do. Okay, immediately which are the problem statement you can start, and we need actually end-to-end product, not only to publish the paper. I am not interested on that one at all. So how that will be helpful, Dr. Mitanjali, so that as she told that in daily detection, whatever things is discussing with his patient or to somebody else. So how that can be automated and summarized. So mainly end-to-end product that can be used by either by the patient or society or by doctors. So we are interested on that one. Only publication is okay. That is, I'm
So
not
we can do.
so that automatical that will come. If we are going to develop a end-to-end product, then definitely automatical that R&D, that publication will come. But if we are going to focus only on the publications and that is not helpful to our society or doctors or anybody.
Just see all these fields means like whatever I told right now, all these fields are quite on touch. Nobody is working on this. Okay, well, maybe somebody is working behind, but till now no publication and everything is not being done.
Yes, Raju, again you told that mainly you are focusing on the image, means in dermatology means from the image only you can to see. So no deep what you can the blood report or you can say this ultrasound, CT, all those are not required so much. So mainly your image and video, all those things. So you can do a lot of research on this. Yes, Ayush, you can ask the question. Ma'am, you can just stop sharing the screen.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, Ayush. Yes, first question from you.
Hello, Ayush.
Ayush, you can unmute now. Ayush, you can unmute yourself now.
Yes, good morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning. It's already afternoon.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. Ma'am, my question is that as you said that most of the skin diseases look alike, but the diagnosis is different. So I want to ask that what parameter does this dermosensor takes to work? I mean, how does it works?
So actually dermosensor is not introduced in India till yet. So whatever I am telling that is from the publication and everything. So it's mainly in the Western world. So dermosensor, they have developed such a thing like skin cancers that can detect the skin cancer only. Okay. So that can tell if a lesion is benign or malignant. Benign means it's non-cancerous. Okay, so what they have done, they have they have taken lots of pictures of skin cancer, so various skin cancer pictures they have taken, and they have just introduced into the machine. Okay, so from the broad database, the machine can detect if it is the picture, if it is little bit similar to the skin cancer picture, the machine can detect. Okay, and the machine will give a suggestion that the lesion is somewhat looking 50% or 60% somewhat looking like malignancy. So your triage is something you have to go to a dermatologist for confirmation.
Okay, ma'am, and I have another question.
Okay,
That what's the reason behind like such a low number of dermatologists like in India? Specific reason.
Okay, so the like dermatologists, how they get selected. So first we have to do a MBBS. Okay, after 4.5 years of MBBS, that usually go up to 6 years. So after MBBS, after internship, we have to apply for a post graduation entrance examination, and there in the entrance examination you have to get into the dermatology, and the dermatology seat is very low as compared to the other department. So it's now the seats are gradually increasing, but previously the seats are very less. So with less seats, it's quite like sure that you will get less dermatologist. So it's up to India government that they will increase the seat of dermatology. But they usually what they do, that they increase the seat of emergency subject. They will increase the seat of medicine, surgery. Like they are all emergency subject. Dermatology is not an emergency subject. So if a patient is having some skin disorder, the patient can wait for 7 days, 10 days, or even 1 month also. It's not going to take the life of the patient. Okay, so that's why that is the main reason that seat is very less.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, Kusagra, yes, your question, please.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a real life question. Like, as you mentioned, India has fewer than one dermatologist per 1 lakh people.
Hmm.
So, in my family, a skin condition was initially diagnosed differently by a few doctors and only later confirmed as Baker's nevus. So,
Hmm.
in such situation like this, where there is both diagnostic uncertainty and limited specialist access, how
Hmm.
should a system be trained and how should their outputs be interpreted? Thank you.
Okay, okay. So, if you have in my presentation very carefully, so I have just traced about, like, dermatology is a branch where the clinician experience is different. Like, if it's very subjective, like whatever I am seeing, we are mainly rely on what the thing we see. Like, you just imagine a 1-year-old child. Like, just few days back, I was telling my daughters, I showed her a brinjal of brown color. Okay, I told her that this is brinjal. The next day, when I showed the brinjal to her, she told this is brinjal. But again, when I showed a green color brinjal to her, and she told, no, no, I don't know this. Okay, so the thing is like that. So it's our brain that whose brain is how much trained. Okay, so if I am able to I am able to see this is brinjal. So next day the color is changing. So if I am not trained, I can tell this is brinjal, because my question that will be my mind, na, the brinjal color is purple color. So how the color will change? So it's something different. Okay, so in dermatology, like this, like we have to read so much that we can, like, a disease is this, the one disease has different clinical pattern. So every clinical pattern we have to learn, and every clinical pattern we have to recognize. That comes with only with our experience. Okay, so many times I have told you, whatever the situation, whatever the clinical feature to me, that is not exactly same to my colleague. My colleague will tell that I am not seeing here blackish pigmentation, I am seeing here brownish pigmentation, but that brownish is black to me. So do you understand? So how different it is? So sometimes the individual experience, individual intelligence, individual perspective, everything that differ from dermatologist to dermatologist, from patient to patient also. So you are telling that Becker's nevus, the Becker's nevus, to me it's the Becker's nevus, but the Becker's nevus diagnosis is something like, to my colleague it may be something like a congenital melanocytic nevus also.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so means that mainly depends upon the clinical experience. That lots of things are there, that their perspective, the clinical scenario, the skin condition, the skin color, what are the surface change, and like how, what is the duration, what is the chronicity, means everything. If there is any, what is the texture, everything that takes into account. But what happens that most of the things, like dermatologists are so well trained, most of the diseases that will something that 2 or 3 dermatologists will agree on a same diagnosis. So it's like, it's require your experience, it's require your intelligence, it's requires your learning attitude, it's requires your like affection towards patient, it's requires all your skill. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It's clarified that.
Ma'am, is plastic surgeons are related to dermatology or no? Plastic surgery or something different?
Actually, their branch is different, completely different. Like we do MBBS equally. Then after that, they go for a surgery post graduation. We go for dermatology post graduation. Then after surgery, they will go for plastic surgery MCH, and they are more into surgical aspect, and we are more into the clinical aspect.
Okay. Okay, then I think, yeah, Soumya Ranjan, yeah.
Good morning, ma'am. Sorry, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
So I want to ask about, like, we are taking the focus and picture in light and condition of white light, mostly white light. So we are not using any monochromatic light. So is there any study upon, like, we are taking the picture of or sample of the skin under certain lights to maximize the results?
Okay. So we have, like, you are using visible light. Yeah, which light you are using?
So normally, ma'am, mostly the samples are taken under the white light, mostly the LED available in market. So
Okay.
mostly they are white light only.
Like the light we have different rays, like we have like ultraviolet C that doesn't come to earth. Okay, so we have ultraviolet B, we have ultraviolet A, we have visible radiation, and we have infrared radiation. So that is different according to the wavelength. So I am sitting here, the light is here, that is visible light, that is the wavelength is something different. So I am going outside, so the UVB is coming and UVA is coming. So UV, that is something different, the wavelength is also different. Okay, so like what the light you are telling, so I think it must be visible light, like, or infrared radiation, something like that.
Ma'am, like we use mostly fluorescence light in fungal and bacterial infections, and
Okay.
some woody lamps in the skin sampling, which I have studied in skin and hair. So I
That
want to
is
ask,
mainly
like,
ultraviolet light. That is mainly ultraviolet light. Okay, in the ultraviolet B and ultraviolet A radiation, we usually do. So we have like phototherapy machine. So we that use for psoriasis, we use for vitiligo, we use for other skin condition also. So we customize that machine according to the wavelength. Like if you are giving phototherapy to a vitiligo patient, so we sometimes we give most of the times we give ultraviolet B radiation. So again, in the ultraviolet B radiation we have narrow band, we have broadband, like that. So sometimes we give ultraviolet A radiations also. So like that is very old one.
okay, ma'am, got it.
Okay, ma'am, I think no more questions. Thank you very much, ma'am. If anyone is contacting me, or you have already given your mail ID and that mobile number, they can also contact you. So you can
Thank you, sir, giving me opportunity and just interacting with all people so much. Like I'm always grateful to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you. I will be in contact with you. If anybody is contacting you, then you can also tell me so that we can have a discussion.
Sir, thank you.
Thank
Sir.
you, ma'am. Thank you. Your next session will be at 3 o'clock. Okay. Now there is no more session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.